Once again, the floor of the registrar and the chief executive of Institute of Professional Economics and Policy Management. Thank you so very much, Dr. Abdullah. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to start this thing so we can move here in time.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'd like to Professor White, PLP, FCP, and his Executive Secretary and National Coordinator of the Institute. Put your hands together for him as he gives us a compliment. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellencies, here present, President of our Noble Institute, the worldwide recognized scholar, senior development economist, the lead consultant to ECOWAS, CBN, and many other nationals from international agencies. In the person of Professor Keffi, PhD, PhD, SCP. The Registrar to Chief Executive, Dr. Abdullah Ibrahim, PhD, SCP. Members of the Governing Council here present, invited dignitaries and participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name still remains as usual. I'm thanking Dr. Musa Ali Yakub, PhD, SCP. By way of privilege, I am also the Executive Secretary, National Coordinator of the Institute of Professional Economists and Policy Management, IPEPN. May I start by invoking the presence of Almighty God. In the name of God Almighty, most gracious, most merciful. And let me further by notifying you that it is the President's directive that I hold a brief for him to deliver this opening remark. He has a lot in his hand today. I am very optimistic that you will be delighted to hear his scholarly address during the performance ceremony tomorrow. On that note, you will please permit me to enjoy the full privilege by being in the role of Mr. President for just a short while. On behalf of the President, the Governing Council, and the entire Institute, once again, I brainstorm for collective well-being and the prosperity of our dear nation. I urge you all to remain focused and attentive to this cause. At the end, we will be able to harness the full potentials and benefits of participating in this program. Apart from passing the Institute prescribed research test, obtaining Institute membership and earning the Institute prestigious doctorate award, a lot more of other benefits and opportunities are still available for all of us to tap. At this juncture, colleague introduced IPEPM. IPEPM stands for Institute of Professional Economists and Policy Management. A lot of people refer to it as IPEP. It is pronounced as IPEP. If you recall the way you pronounce pneumonia, if you recall the way you pronounce psychology, that is how you silence the last P. We call it IPEP. The institute was founded early 2000 by scholars in economics, policy management, and technology. The aim is to bridge the gap that is existing between resource endowment and effective policy formulation and management to achieve sustainable economic growth and development, and to put the country on the pedestal of top world-leading economies. It is set to inculcate skills in members and general public using less resources to achieve greater results. These are the embodiment of effective policy management. The Institute seeks to entrench the globally best practice, expedient to legal resources utilization to policy creation, and benchmarks in line with professionally cherished ethics. It is vital to intimate you here that the Institute is packaged to embrace members from all sectors of the economy and all fields of human endeavor, so long as the utilization of human, financial, material, and natural resources that drives a nation's economy and growth. We are economists by nature without knowing that we are practicing the routine economic activity, starting from our families to group and to organization. But the question is, are we professional about it? Hence, IPEP is here to answer the question. Therefore, Nigeria has active human resources to reckon with in all steps of nation building with embodied local content technologies. So where is the missing link? Why is Nigeria backsliding in its development efforts? These and many more, and other economic questions are what IPEP is established to address. But we cannot do this alone. We need you, we need us, we need to put all hands on deck to grow the institute and grow our country, Nigeria. I urge everyone in Nigeria who has our nation at heart to come and collaborate, partner, register your membership with the Institute and let us contribute our individual and collective quotas towards the attainment of our desired economic growth and sustainable development. I want to assure you of the unlimited benefits of participation and registration as a member of the Institute. I wish to express my profound gratitude to all of you here present for honoring this invitation. I pray that you have a rewarding experience in this conference and performance ceremony. May God Almighty bless us all. Thank you.
We can do better. I can I get somebody give me iPad? very loud. Now the most interesting thing is that Nigeria will make it better. Together we will be involved as economics and policy managers. Without more to go, I think at this point we should be working on to put our hearts together for the keynote address paper one. Are we together, sir? Put your hands together. Put those hands together. You can do better than that. For our excellent scholarly professor. Keep clapping. The national president, the Institute of Economic and Policy Management. You're welcome, sir. We are going to have you in army to deal with this key issue.
Sorry, please. For those of you sitting, can you see the projector?
Yeah.
You can see it clearly. On this side, you can see it clearly. From the other side, can you see the projector? Or if you cannot see it, let's come closer. Thank you, God bless you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and the chair, please stand for all of our staff. First, I owe you so many apologies. I owe you apology for the late start. I also owe you apology for one mistake that I made. I sent, you had a copy of my presentation in your pack. But that was actually the beginning of my working document, and I revised it. So I actually sent the revised one, which I will present. I'm going to put that because I didn't want to take that in the so I put them out. But what I'm going to show you is now, because we started so late and we even have to have a lunch before we get to this stage, I'm very mindful about time. I'm supposed to do 2 lectures, one in the morning, one in the afternoon after lunch. But what I will do is, I can't actually get very technical because you have to look at the audience, and then you have to look at that fact and look at the time. So what I will do is, I will do as much as I can. But you have a document, and we are here tomorrow. So there will be time for you to ask questions. Tomorrow I will intervene tomorrow as well. So it's going to be an ongoing discussion. Then we're also going to do a webinar. We're going to do a Zoom. We'll let more people to be able to engage so that this lecture will still be taken to the people. So on both counts, my sincere apology. And I think next year will be much better organized. And that will see how we go to it next year. I thank you for your patience, and I thank you for even staying. Normally after long, you disappear. But thank you for staying. Now, it's important for me to go to the next page. It's important for me to give you an overview of what it is that we wanted to talk about, so that we know that we plan to see into this economy, for you to understand. And let me tell you what is similar to this. Because I'm consultant central bank, over the last few years, about 600 media managers and information financial managers are explaining them once every 6 months. So the central bank will carry all of them, put them in a hotel for 3 days, and I'll come and bring them from the macro economy. Tell them when you go into this. I have to explain to you that pure economists and many other people talk about preference, all kinds of developing countries. On what we can take the economy. What we can take the economy. This is very that the reduce dependence and make sure we are that the reduce dependence and make sure we are capable of developing, capable of deploying our own language, capable of growing our economy, capable of developing, growing our economy, capable of developing our income per capita, everything our income per capita, everything is down. So you have institutions, you have global institutions who are supposed to be lending you money to ensure that you buy those things that are and when you buy them, you're going to remain in the perpetual debt trap. If we have time to unpack some of these are headlines that I want you to take away from here. And for that reason and many other reasons, and then what has compounded our own problem as a country, Nigeria, is not just the export dependence, import dependence, but also we have a monocultural export revenue. That is the forex that we get, that is the dollar that we get from export, is monocultural, that is only oil and gas. And that accounts for 90% of that money that comes. Unfortunately, if it was foodstuff or some other things like car, but we can control the price, but you don't have control. Because OPEC in Vienna decides what to produce and the price that they sell them and they mess it up big time. So the economy is so vulnerable. And then I ask you one question. Why should we be concerned if Russia and Ukraine are fighting? 2008, the subprime property crisis, because our banks were exposed. So anything that happens anywhere globally hits you simply because the economy is vulnerable. So we look at things we can do. One of them is of course diversification. We have it since I was born. But there are things we can do. The important is to understand why we are republics. Wherever we stop, at least you have a better view of all the things we wanted to talk about. It's very important that we know all the things we wanted to talk about. It's very important that we know where we wanted to reach. For example, there will be the first section is global perspectives and mega trends. So you need to know what is going on globally and then the kind of trends, global trends. And of course, especially when it comes to investment, because in the end of the day, you can have all your dreams, but you have to find the money to invest in whatever dream you have. So the best one is investment. It's only when investment comes that we can engage in productive activity. And the productive activity can now use employment. And the employment will create what we call disposable income. And from your disposable income, you can have some savings if you can invest, or you can use it to reduce poverty. Now, that is the cycle. That is the development trajectory. If anybody tells you anything to the contrary, better wrong, because you cannot go to dash people to share people. You have to follow that trajectory. You have to have it first, because when you get investment, some of it will go to infrastructure, they then put you that is like building foundation for the house. Some will go to the business activity. Some will go to massacring poverty. Like what I want to try to see more, but we don't go for it. And then we continue and then place it. So it is when you create the employment from the economic activity that employment creates disposable income. And it's from disposable income that we can sustainably reduce poverty. Alright? And the next area is the ECOWAS macroeconomic convergence criteria for ECOWAS. We have what they call 10 macroeconomic convergence criteria. That is what we call best practice in macroeconomic management. So we all come together and say these are the standards work towards this standard and we will be okay. It wasn't set up by IMF, so we didn't have that. It wasn't from World Bank. It's from our people. Our people is not broken because we want to protect. Single inflation. We say ideally head towards single inflation. You know our own second one is says debt to GDP. It should be around 40%. I know our own is now. The reduction of our deficit, government deficit to GDP ratio should be more than 4%. Even our Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007, and Dr. Chris is here, is from the Fiscal Responsibility Commission. The law says 20%. Although there are some provisions in the Finance Act that simply qualify that to say if we have exigencies, such as the conflict of war or some extraordinary circumstances that can amount to force majeure, whatever, that may prove that corporate has to take something like that. So, but all of that, so normally, that is the benchmark. Another one of them is on revenue to GDP. Government revenue to GDP. They say it should be about 18 to 20%. Our own needs to be 7%. That I don't even know. But this is make sure that you have enough revenue to service whatever debt that you have. So if we are punching at half of potential revenue that you need to service your debt, you are going to see when your debt is going over 40%, you will not be able to service it. That's why we are spending 90% of our revenue to service our debt. One of them says, don't spend more than 20% of your revenue in employment. So what he's saying is, government, just because you got government money, don't use your money to employ people. You know, create, it gives the person control the number of people you employ. So that you don't, and you know here, 70% of our budget goes to revenue expenditure as personnel. Only 30% actually takes the investment where we can actually stimulate the economy. So, you know, I'm just giving you all this so that you can see that those are frame of reference. And there are many more. We have to have a positive real interest rate. What is our interest rate? How real is it? It's negative.
Still not
Because inflation is actually inflation. And the LPR that the money to central bank money policy rate is 6.7 to 7.5. Don't look at the gap between the two of them. So if the bank is giving you, if you put your money savings account at that 27 or 28, it's still less than inflation. A year after, it should be just short. So who's going to invest money with that economy? You have to understand who's going to invest in your economy, because the kind of investment, like, you know, some of this investment is people borrow money at 3-4% or more in dollar, and they will bring it in because they're offering it 3%. So, provided your exchange rate is kept steady, they will come for your money and you change it and take it back. All things being equal, the office are never equal. We can make it while that's on my side. So all of those are conditions that say if you walk within this boundary, you will be alright. And that is the last thing about policy money that actually needs. So when I raise this with my people, people back on our government, on our shop, on the neighborhood, you look like it's a voice from the wilderness. It's like I'm talking to myself. We are the youth member of this organization. Anyway, the other one is under that criteria, under that, I search francophony and anglophony. You know, I'm sure I don't think it's going to be. I have to tell you this. You know, when the colonists left, we thought they had gone. They went with their politics, but they never went left with their economy. The economic region. So what they have, I'll talk about French before I talk about English and others. French government makes sure that the Francophone countries, they are still paying them for colonial administration. They are still paying them today. So they collect over $20 billion for every year. They are still paying them for colonial administration. Number two, they pay their CFA, foreign CFA, they pay it to Europe so that it stays connected to Europe. But to maintain the strength of that thing, because it is fully fixed to Europe, they control 80% of the, that is France, controls 80% of the reserves, foreign reserves of this particular country, and give them only 20%. So what happens is that they keep burning down their 80% to maintain that high value of that currency. Now, it may not mean anything to anybody until you have some comparison. Now let me give you a comparison. Nigerian naira, 1 naira usually buys 3 francs CFA, about 8 million. So whenever we are going on the lowest position, because Canada naira, just come to the top of every naira, they apply that 3. Now if you go with the naira, they will be asking you for more, because 1 naira cannot buy 1 CFA. It's only 0.7. So our naira is 80% devalued compared to their currency. Okay, the economists, tell me what will happen. People that are in arid desert land and all that, think they will go to farm again to do what? Buy the Nigerian food. They buy it, they try it because they have more constant power. They try the quality things, they make money. They're making money. They don't need to suffer anymore. Because what they're buying across the border is 80% cheaper. Then here is the catch. If you try to if you look at inflation figures, which we will look at, you are going to see high inflation zones in the Atlantic corridor. And then you see the moderate inflation zone in the coastal region. Then you see the southeast low inflation zone going through and all of that. Then you have the medium inflation zone at the frontiers. If you try to bring anything to use at the northern frontier, those 7 states, to bring them down to the middle belt, down to south, you are incurring heavy transportation costs. And that means that when you study inflation, you look at inflation, you will see where we are in serious trouble. And if you look at what they call elasticity of demand, one of the four inflation that we have in Nigeria, we have all the inflation because we have stagflation. Stagflation is a complicated form of inflation. Every central bank in the world knows how to fight inflation, but not many of them even understand the meaning of stagflation. And the classical books you read, they don't even tell you anything because they have nothing to tell you about. They only tell you about forces of demand and supply. They don't tell you anything. Because in Nigeria, you have demand pull inflation because they went and printed 33 trillion with no backing. So making the goods 3 or 4 times, 10 times more expensive. Rich men now may get richer. The poor man can no longer afford to buy that food. They get poorer. Overnight, inflation is the single greatest macroeconomic parameter that drives hundreds of millions of people into abject poverty. Overnight at the East level. We have cost push inflation because all the costs are going up, fueled by foreign exchange. Because 80% of the small social activities you have, 80% of the manufacturing capacity by design in your country depend on important raw materials. So they are both paid to your dollar. Once you get that dollar, they are calling for it. And that's why when central banks start drawing their way back from dollar inflation, these guys are packing their bag and going to Canada. Instead of adapting to using raw materials, and they know rather than go, let them go together. Okay? So you have all these cost elements going on. You have the petrol going up, you have diesel going up, electricity bill going up by 100%. Every input cost, transportation cost. So the cost of manufacturing anything in Nigeria, the cost of producing any service in Nigeria is going to the roof. That is cost Then of course we have the pocket inflation because of your import dependence and the fact that you don't have a rough dollar. So the price of dollar keeps going up. So whatever you bring in there is inflationary. But the fourth one, which you won't find in any textbook, is cross-border demand pull inflation, which was the currency differential. You won't see it in any textbook. It is the reality that Nigeria and all the 100 million francophone citizens surrounding Nigeria in 7 francophone countries are experiencing a very, very cheap naira currency, 80% cheap. So they are getting everything they want. And then because of our internal transportation costs, if government says, okay, we are going to double the price of our grains, double the price, you know what will happen? These people, for them, instead of 80% devalued, it will become 40% devalued, isn't it? It is still cheap. But Nigerians can no longer afford anything growing in Nigeria because you have doubled the price. You can now have to add transportation costs, add stoppage instead of 1 day to travel down to 3 days, bad road, all of that. So Nigerians will starve. We cannot afford our own food. So I tell the Minister for Agriculture, I tell all of them, I put this data in front of them. All right? But it is a challenge for them. We are the development economists. You are the ones that have to understand all this so that wherever you are, in any technical committee we send you to, or whenever debate anywhere, you're able to distill the data and then argue and educate these people. They have no clue. I'm telling you, they don't have clue on the damage that they are doing to our economy. So that's so in terms of the Francophonie example, the French government has the first right of refusal on every government contract. So citizens can't even bid for their own contract in their own country, unless the France said they're not interested in this one. So you have to know what they are going through. But the difference is that everybody knows what it is. But in Nigeria and Anglophone countries, we don't even know what is hitting us. You don't even know. But you know that our economy is import dependent. But what else do you know? You know that you are the biggest producer of crude, but you are the biggest importer of refined product. Because this is what we call political economy. What is holding us down to the ground is what we call political economy. Because they use our own people as their agents to make sure that they keep us where we are. And then they have all these institutions that are making their marching order is to keep you where you are. And let me give you one example around that. That stigma, he looked at developments over the world, all over the world, and found that virtually in every human endeavor, the world has been changing. People have gone to space, they've gone to cars, different types of cars, different standard of living, everything is improving. Relationship between countries in different spheres, improvement, everything. Today, mobile phone, they're not more advanced, AI, all of that. But there's one relationship that has refused to change for 800 years. And that is brutal, repressive, oppressive, extractive economic relations between us and the global north. They will not let that change. For how long? For 800 years. They started with slave labor, it transformed to that, now here, they don't want that to change. That change will not come from them, it has to come from you. So if you are thinking anybody will do anything for you, why do you have coal? They won't loan you money to produce power from your coal. If I start giving you examples of these things, it will look as if I'm inspiring a revolution. I don't want a revolution. I just want development economists to understand the dimensions of the challenges that we have, so that you will know what the strategy is of getting out of it. And one of the strategies is something that I actually do in the ministry. I told my governor of Keffi, I said, look, you know what? He was asking me, why am I in this barrier economy? I said, you know what? Young people don't want to work. Old people don't want to work. Nobody wants to work anywhere in Nigeria because our minds have been so abused of all kinds of things, corrupted. So I want to now use microorganisms to work for us. So my bioeconomy is to get microorganisms. It's my laugh, a laugh. That's the reality. So what I'm saying is that the nature of the political economy operating here is far more complex, is very subtle, is hidden, unlike in the case of the French. You can see the French one now. And mind you, while our president was in France, Chad Republic said, thank you, I don't want to do any more with you, your soldiers should go. And then 2 days ago, Senegal said, you know what, we are now going to celebrate our people that you slaughtered. You know what happened? Second World War. Senegalese soldiers fought vehemently for the rescue of France. Second World War. But when the pictures were being taken, they pushed them out. So it was only Americans and French that took photographs. So it didn't pain them. But about 400 of them came and complained that they have not been paid salary for 26 months. So they all gathered together complaining, pay us our salary. Don't forget, it's not people salary. Many people were promised that if after the war they will have permanent residence. They thought not even the point. You know what they did? They shot all those 400. So the new young man in Senegal says, I'm going to celebrate this. I'm celebrating the commemoration of that these people that were killed. And then turn around and say, France, thank you very much. It's enough. It's gone. So you've seen the trouble. Yesterday, today, every day is changing. You have, the third of all was Guinea-Bissau, then it was Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, it's now Chad, it's now that. So do not say, I told you. But at least you can see the dimensions there. Our own is a much more subtle, more dangerous, and more politically distant. So, on that, all of you, the next area will give you the overview of our macro economy. The punchlines. The first one in this is, and I'm glad that I could make it number one, what I call muscular, fiscal muscular dominance over monetary policy. That's what I call that. I said is fiscal policy. No, fiscal policy. Fiscal policy involves revenue, customs revenue, FIRS revenue. They change their name now. Then you have trade policy related, industrial policy related, investment policy. All that area are fiscal policy. The monetary stands away because monetary is control of inflation, print our money and that. The one you have, the relationship is intoxicating. We have dominance. Dominance, and it's a muscular dominance of fiscal policy over monetary policy. Now, I can give you the dimensions of those dominance, but we may not need to go into the details. But I'm giving you a big picture. Big picture. And each of these issues can take a long time to unpack. One is that you already said that we have an import-dependent economy. And I also mentioned that same import dependence was as a result of the brutal economic, repressive, and oppressive extractive economic relations with Europe and the global north. But also, I said part of this, because when you are looking at this particular one, what you are going to say to the government, what do you do? What do you do? If that is the case, diversify the economy. And when you are diversifying the economy, take note that we have to also do import substitution. And you know what worries me about our country? Is that we fail to learn lessons of the good things that we have done and done successfully. Obasanjo did import substitution on cement. It those of you who knew what was going on in 1974-75, our seaports were locked jammed by cement. Hundreds of ships carry cement into Nigeria and they were nowhere. And then they all got spoiled. And Nigeria started paying demurrage, even for So Nigeria was only producing 20% of the cement we were consuming. So Obasanjo said, okay, anybody who is prepared to set up a factory to make cement in Nigeria, I will give you the license to import clinkers. Clinker is cement ready, you bring it in, crush back. So Dangote went in, started buying up factories, all right? He was making 400% profit on importing clinker, and he was diverting the profit to buying the cement factories. Our friend Ibeto ignored it and then brought several shiploads of cement. The person said, I'm not bringing it in. For 6 months, the thing was in high sea. Even Prime Minister of China came here to us, beg, all that stuff. But anyway, it was until Yara came. That's what the problem was. But the fact of the matter is this. Dangote now made sure that Nigeria is producing more cement than we need. But now look at this. There are 10 different manufacturing centers he has set up across Africa. And he actually produces the clinkers here and exports it to them to make it to cement. So this is a big time exporter. He has actually reversed the thing now. Not only that we have self-sufficiency and we stop spending dollar in importing, we were not paying dollar from his own exporting of his own clinkers. Now, why didn't this happen in the oil industry? You know that. Guys, do I get a headache explaining to you what happened in the oil industry? How you have 4 refineries and they won't work, whether they're expired or whatever they are doing. And the same IOCs that are drilling the oil, running their own show overseas, are the ones taking the crude there to refine and bring it down here. And then they invested borrowed 20 billion to invest in the biggest single train refinery. As somebody sitting in the office there saying that it's a monopoly. It's monopoly. We didn't know it's monopoly when he borrowed 20 billion. Now you want to crash that business and say it's a monopoly. Not that. That's what you're seeing in this country. And I salute the courage of the president after allowing the ruffling of feathers to say enough, sell crude in Naira, buy PMS in Naira. I mean, that is courage. That is what I call political courage. All right? We have this government aggressive borrowing from central bank, 33 trillion ways and means. That is government forcing central bank to give me money. Now, let me explain this. What this ways and means is. The basic problem we have in Nigeria, what we call the macroeconomic challenge we have in Nigeria, is rooted in one thing: government excessive spending. Do you understand this? You don't want to spend within your means. And what are the manifestations of the fact that you don't want to spend within your means? You go and want to borrow money because you are wanting to do it and X. Now you want to go and borrow money. You know, when you borrow money, you have to pay back. Okay? I don't know who listened to some of my interview programs the other day. I said, you have a law called Fiscal Responsibility Act. Dr. Chris is sitting here. That law tells you there's nothing wrong in borrowing. You need to borrow to leverage the finances and create more. If you borrow sensibly, according to the law that guides borrowing, you will get good return, provided you use it for project activities that has cost-benefit analysis. You can leverage it because the money is cheap. If you borrow the right one, it's cheap. It's 2-3%, 1%, and they'll give you 30 years to repay, and then 10-year moratorium. Abba, a businessman, you give this kind of money. Before 2 years, he has repaid that money. Look at that and the 20. Has he not almost finished repaying it? Has he only started only a few months? You don't get advance, but this is what they give to government. They won't give him constitutionally loan or 2%. They will give him 10%. They won't give him 2%. But Government will not use that. That's not what they're doing. Even when they get those cheap money to service that debt, they will go and take very expensive money, Eurobond, 9%, 1 year to service long-term debt. That's what crashed American banks. How can you have a long-term loan debt and you're borrowing short-term, high expensive? Is debt trap you have entered into. So that fiscal law says, one, you can only borrow for capital expenditure and human resource development. And human resource is health, education and training, and employment. It did not say you should borrow money for poverty reduction or to share. It's not there. It also tells you that that borrowing should be long term. By long term, we mean over 10-year period to 20 years to 30 years. Because government is not running a business, big business of 1 year. It says also at concessionary rates, which we understand will be much, much less than 3%. But not 9-10%. No, that's not what the law says. And then some other conditions. But it also, all the financial institutions, in section 34, section 2, any lending by financial institutions and banks outside this framework is unlawful. So go ahead and do what you do, but there will be a judgment day, whether you are there or not. There will be a judgment day when somebody will have to answer for that money. And I keep saying this to development partners, especially the World Bank that keeps giving money to another cash transfer. In UK, I believe for 43 years in UK, we do conditional cash transfer. What makes it conditional? You have to show that you are actively seeking work, and the money is given to you for a short time. To show that you are looking for work, you are working to work, but not to just sit down and they are sharing. It's sharing that they are sharing. We are not actively giving money, we are actively seeking work or topping up people's experience. I don't want to get too deep. The second way, if it is not borrowing, is to tax more people, do more tax to raise money because you are overspending. And then how do you tax? Do you know, even government, if it doesn't add more tax to you, inflation is tax. Because the tax would have taken some money away from you. With inflation, will make sure that that small money you get, you can't buy anything with it. So it is tax. Then the third one is when it turns away to bank and say, print money for me. And that's why they printed 33 trillion. Look, central banks have conditions under which they can print money. One of these conditions they can print money is there's a sudden increase in productivity. Benue State produced 3 times more yam than they used to produce. And then this man made 10 times more cash. So there's massive productivity gain in the country, more products. So central bank print more money to match the increase in productivity. Otherwise, there will be deflation. There will be small money chasing more goods. That will be deflation. So it prints some money to engage. The second condition is somebody invests $30 billion into Nigeria. Now, central bank will collect those dollars and put it in their reserve, isn't it? But you have to give the man naira now to do the things he wanted to use the thing to do. You print some naira and give them. You understand? Those are 2 genuine reasons. But if you suddenly force a bank to print money for you, you are killing the population. You are killing everybody with that kind of inflation. All right. So going on, we have another one: debt sustainability challenges, where you are borrowing irresponsibly and you are not even showing transparency in the borrowing. You are not showing accountability in the borrowing. It is reckless. And then all of that, even when you come to the law itself that says the government-owned enterprises should pay 80% of their surplus to the government treasury. How many of them are complying? Okay, our monetary policy, and doesn't give it that breathing space. Yet you blame everything, you put all the blames on monetary policy, not because I'm supporting central bank. No? you know. But now look at this one. Stagflation. Stagflation, remember, it is a very complicated form of inflation. I have already described to you the four variants. So it tells you. So anybody that is giving you, see, sometimes I also worry because some people will say, oh, inflation was coming down in America and it was coming down in the UK, so it's going to come down in Nigeria. Are we America? Are we UK? I mean, for over 3 years, they've been pushing up their inflation has been going up, and they have tightening for 3 years. Suddenly, because it went down yesterday, that was the central bank to bring their own down. Oh no, why? And then also sometimes central bank will talk something and I will just divide my hand like this. I know the life of that one. Because you cannot say because you did one thing here, then suddenly inflation is going to come down. When I have shown you the four major drivers of inflation. Okay, what about food? Food sub-basket. You know, when it comes to inflation, there are 5 inflation parameters. You have food sub-basket index. And that is the most inflationary and it's very volatile. It is cruising at 39.something%. Sometimes it goes over 43%. And it's been like that at that height for many, many years. And I've given you one of the insights into cross-border food. This thing is one of them. And there's nothing you can do. Because Nigerian monetary policy cannot touch Niger, you can't touch Chad, you can't touch these people. There's nothing you can do. It's only when you start strengthening our currency that it will come down. But if not that, there's nothing you can do. So some of these parameters are outside your control. And then you come and talk about money supply. Yeah, what are you using? You are using open market operation instrument for banks to buy up their liquidity. They're also using treasury bills. They're selling bills to them and they're offering them 22.5%, attractive, but it's still less than inflation. But nevertheless, I mean, 20% is good because your deposit is about 5-6%. So go there, buy the money and take 23% up front and go and sit down and rest. All right, somebody works for it. But how far can you go with that? How far? Even if you are succeeding. When we are, and then we increase the CRR, the cash reserve ratio of the banks. In other words, what they are doing is now 50%. What it means that if you give 10 naira to a bank to save for you, central bank takes 5 naira, 50%, and puts it in a vault. So central bank sequesters the money, 50% of the money that banks have, and it doesn't give them any profit. It takes it as 0% interest and holds it there. And then also you see that they should have 30% of their money liquidity in case there's a wrong on the bank. So the policies have tightened the banks. The banks don't have anything to lend. You've already taken 50%. You told them not to touch 30%. What's left? 20%. And they also have capital adequacy ratio. They have non-performing loans, chopping their money. So the banks have been strangulated. So and even the people who could borrow from the bank don't even want to borrow anything. Who wants to borrow money from the bank when the rate is 30-something%? Do you understand? The rate is very high. So people who even normally will want to borrow because it's too high. And the bank don't even have the money to give you. Are you with me? The money they are having is all this foreign exchange something they are doing. And the central bank came and said, right, close your net open position to 20% of your dollar. So any dollar reserve you have, whatever you have, I don't want to know. Only 20% will be kept, sell the rest of it. Don't forget that banks are exposed because when they open a letter of credit for you, they're already exposed. Do you understand? So they're waiting for you to pay and there's money. So they are committed. So all of these are issues. All right? I don't know. I can't say I was talking this. Yeah. So what I was saying here is that all the various forms of inflation that are active in our economy, they have to be factored. So, I mean, somebody cannot say, oh, that because we have released money here, then inflation will come, because inflation is subject to many things, and all acting in different directions. Okay. Now, the insecurity unemployment and extreme poverty. You know, FDI, foreign direct investment. When you are measuring GDP, there are 4 things you measure in GDP. You measure household consumption. And household consumption tends to be about 74-75% around that. It measures government consumption. It tends to be 5.5, 5.75%, under 10%. It also measures foreign direct investment into your country. And then finally, the balance of payment between you and other countries. That's the 4 that we add together to give you the GDP. But our foreign direct investment in the last capital importation was only $29 million. 29 million. This is where you usually see billions of dollars. Now, when you begin to have that kind of complete rundown, completely, you have to try to find out why. One of the reasons is insecurity. You are telling somebody that investment is a very competitive business. Every country is looking for investment, including America, that has the most innovation. That's why looking for investment. So it's a highly competitive business. Over $80 trillion are looking for where to invest. They won't borrow money, and not other money is borrowed money, and come and invest in Nigeria and then come and die here because they come to invest in Nigeria. Or then invest and they burn their property. So insecurity is so critical. They don't want to invest. And then, of course, they're also looking at foreign exchange. If I bring this dollar, if I want it back in 1 year, if I want my dividend to go back, am I going to find the dollar? You don't tell us the story you told the airlines. You owe them so many billions, and it was a dogfight before they got something out of it. So there are many things, there are many good stages to that investment. So foreign direct investment is very, very sharp. It looks at returns. And you are, first of all, you are in negative return as a country. Because the normal interest that you get is facing a higher inflation. And if they are investing in equipment, productive capacity, how about the economic conditions of the country? Have they got the labor, trained labor? So all of this and the cost of raw materials and all the other things are high. Investors run, and they are running from our country. So that's one of the challenges. And then unemployment, high unemployment. Let me tell you why high unemployment is the method I'm using is better, because I'm not even looking at now. I never opened the page. I'm only on the table of content. I'm using it to give you the gist, overall gist, so that you don't have to go through a 3-hour presentation. It's interesting, sir. I think I'm doing well. Tell that lady that I'm doing well.
You are doing well.
Okay. So, and then the way you add it to is 70%. Now let me tell you the significance of that number. Do you remember when you had the Arab Spring? When all the countries in the north of Africa went ablaze, what happened was that the inflation in Tunisia was 15%, and young men had enough. They can't get job, no petrol, matches. One guy burnt himself on the railway. Then vote upon the vote, all those countries went to. But Nigeria is having 5 times more unemployment than what set the whole of those places ablaze. But now the figures have been massaged because we now have a new methodology. So what you are seeing is 5.5% unemployment. The figures are changed. That doesn't mean that they think people are getting jobs, but the figures are changed. All right. Now, extreme poverty. You know that ordinary poverty that we measure as $1.2 a day, I think it's only gone up to almost $2 a day. About 40% of Nigerians were living below that. But when you look at multiple, about 80 million people, but when you look at multiple deprivation, which is multi-dimensional poverty, it's measured by so many things, not just one, not the money. The money is one, but there is health condition, there is food insecurity, there are all kinds of other measures. it comes to 133 million Nigerians that are suffering from multidimensional poverty. So, big man can't sleep with his eyes closed when people surrounding him, poor people, are hungry. So you look at yourself, you are making investment in a country where you are going to be surrounded by people who are hungry. You can't sleep with your eyes closed. So all of these enter into that calculus, why people are shy and talking away. And when they don't see government doing as much to alleviate that level of extreme poverty, it worries them. And they will tell you it's one of the things in their life. Of course, there's risk. It's one of the risks, the social risk. All right? So I'll stop there. The rest of the things we are going to talk about, or we are going to talk about, is an overview of the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 and the Agenda 2050. I was the national chairman during the framing of the National Development Plan. I was the national chairman of three thematic groups. I was the chair of digital economy, bioeconomy, science, technology, and innovation. And we worked on those and produced that plan. And one of the consequences of that was the good bioeconomy and national development. Then the next thing we would have mentioned about is Fiscal Responsibility Act, which is and the perspectives on discipline, transparency, and accountability. And also how it applies to subnational level. We can't have discussion about the country without talking about subnationals, because economy is on the concurrent legislative list. So local government, federal government, and the state government are all equal actors. So this is the one that connects the local government, the local and state. The Fiscal Responsibility Act was the one that would have allowed us to drill down to say what is good for federal government is also good for the Ghana. And then how do you make sure that there is an alignment between the strategic thinking of state governments and with the national strategic priorities. So that's the area we are going to shape down. Then there would have been the issues, we would have now come to strategic planning process that is now drilling down on the law itself, what the law says about strategic planning, medium-term fiscal strategy paper, which is the instrument that the policy instrument that is produced every year by the Ministry of Finance and is taken to the Assembly, and it goes through a lot of hearing, public hearing and all of that to agree the fiscal strategy assumptions, and then look at the medium-term expenditure framework over the next 3 years, the rolling plan, and see how that house comes out, and then take account of how government performance, budget performance. And all of those will have enlightened us on how this whole thing works. Then we are also going to look at revenue mobilization strategy and tax expenditure control, and then an issue about independent tax inspector, which is dangling now, and people are shying away. If you listen to one man called Oji, I've arranged for him to see your chairman, he says Nigeria can get back more than $50 billion every year from the tax of wealthy Nigerians that have interests abroad, businesses abroad. Their tax are collected by those countries. But if we have a law that says Nigeria should join OECD tax without borders, if you're a member of that, any Nigerian that earns, they take tax from. The 100% tax they take from your company or your investment, whatever you have abroad, 70% of that will come to Nigeria. The country will keep 30%. So he says we are losing over $50 billion, twice more money than we get, because we are not allowing them to. It's not about exposing how much anybody owns or whatever. Whatever you own there, they know, and they are collecting tax from you. All they do is, because you're a signatory, they send 70% to Nigeria. That is all. That is all. And people are thinking that they are going to expose them. Expose them. That was not your problem. But that is all that is saying. Then the final bit is to have talked about fiscal stability and debt sustainability at subnational level. how do we talk with these concepts at subnational level? Because we always talk and focus on central government on all these issues, but when we come to state subnational, how do you balance those? So those are the areas that are in this paper. So I think I don't want to bore you to death, but I think I can stop here if you don't mind. Is that okay? We will have more talk. There will be more questions. I will pick up tomorrow. But it's just to warm you up to what we have in stock for you. Thank you very much.
Can we put our hands together for that again? I would have loved to see anyone else for here today. I hope you can say the same. And this is just beyond the conference. I'm sure you feel that way. It's adequate information, allowing us to know where we really are, and thinking of how to get out of it. These are mind-blowing facts for the real. Once again, let's put our hands together for the president of the institute, who has given us a great thing. And now, cross-section of historians. Pardon. That was very good. Right, across that time. Without wasting more time, we'll be calling up Dr. Chris Wadoka from the Fiscal Responsibility Commission to say something about what has just said. Will you have something for him? We're not missing out. Tomorrow is another day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll be brief because, like I said, tomorrow is another day. Each time I sit under Prof. Kenny first when I go home, I write myself a certificate. I don't get under degree in economics. The speech of his presentation is the master's degree program. Prof. As the Rastaman said, full respect, complete respect. But there is one aspect I just want to touch on, so the loop can be complete. It is the fact that whether the government, whether state or federal, well, fine, let's start with the NDP, National Development Plan. I've looked at it, I've said, the government can fund enough of its aspiration to get the country to the level that it wants. But there needs to be considerable private sector involvement in funding public sector services and facilities. And that's where the PPP thing came in, the public-private partnership. And because people in the private sector also have specializations that you may not find enough of within the public space. And the public sector has a graduated payment system that is so capped that some of you, with your expertise, the public sector cannot pay you. So you only need to come in on the PPP level as a consultant or as a service provider. But having said that, it's a huge space that is out there for all of us to benefit from. But in the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, where I work, there are some key things that we look at: accountability, transparency, and prudence. Yeah, we are not the exact organization set up for purposes of midwifery PPP, but there's something we look at when it comes to PPP.
How many of us remember some months ago, maybe 6 months ago, the story that Ogun State government entered into a relationship with a Chinese, something firm, and somehow didn't carry on with the relationship. And the people went and seized the presidential jet. Do we remember that?
Yes.
And they started seizing properties. You know, it's not quiet now, but those guys are going to get their money. They out of mercy released one aircraft. It is a fiscal risk associated with public-private partnership. The Fiscal Responsibility Act makes it clear that when a state government goes to borrow money, and by extension, if a state government gets into a foreign transaction, a foreign relationship that places pecuniary responsibilities or debts upon the nation, the federal government bears those debts or signs up or guarantees those debts on behalf of the subnationals. And so anytime you get involved or get exposed to or get to analyze a PPP situation, just if it involves a foreign entity, just do know that there is a possibility of embarrassing, or not embarrassing, but possibly also the federal government and the sovereign that is Nigeria. There's something we call there's a term that just escaping my memory. These are contingent liabilities. Things like that are contingent liabilities. That's what I want to add to this. And to close by saying again, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, the Executive Secretary, the ES. I'm here on behalf of the Chairman of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, Barrister Victor Murata. He asked me to come and represent him. I'm his special advisor. I did not bring myself here. So as I speak here, I speak on behalf of the Chairman and the entire Commission to say that the Institute of Professional Economics and Policy Management, the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, stretches out its hand to embrace it. We are an agency of economics, and we are an agency of practicing economics. We identify fully and completely with you, and we will appreciate it each time you have something to please bring us close. Professor Keffi is our, if you have a human God, is our, once we saw his name and the advert, my chairman said, no, you got to be there. So thank you very much. Receive his greetings, sir.
I have to respond to my organ. You know, National Development Plan, the projection for all these 5 years in what we keep in fact is 349 trillion. That's the number of that. You know, I think the government, they want 349 trillion naira. That's what they want to put. They said that federal government can only bring 30 trillion, and state government and local government can bring only 20 trillion. So between the two of these years of government, now only 50 trillion they can bring. So they want private sector to cough out the other 300 trillion. You understand? And how is private sector going to give you? Borrow money and tax government. They can only do it through the instrumentality of private-public partnership, which is if you can trust you to keep your word. You only have, and in fact, that 50 trillion they want to pledge is only the money that is in their pocket. You are not actually creating any new money. So you are not even going to touch that money because they are already committed. But you want private sector to go and borrow 300 billion. So what you see with the government is rascality, fiscal rascality. Where do you start? I'm consultant to fiscal fund. aviation. And look at the problem they had with their PPP, that guy that did the one that did the terminal 2. And then look how they mess with the man. Put money, put their debt, making the company go bankrupt. They want people to go bankrupt. When Obasanjo signed for him to do that terminal and the other one, stop him from the other one and they won't run it down. I have a PPP federal government on this bioeconomic platform. They pledged $30 billion, $5 billion in the CPO portfolio, and I was leading the private sector to bring 42 billion. 40% from them, 60% from the private sector. Now we have rolled out to certain extent, we have brought one way. But we have spent more than what we have pledged to do in the last 5 years. They still haven't released their bill. One had been sitting in the bank with their account. Appropriated since 2023. They are just massaging the people that way and that. And then you have got to see what happened with the state. No state can get into any external money without their law. And then you go through their records. Because federal government guarantees any external loan from the government agencies. And not only that, even if you like, you don't put it in the document. It's already there. Because China has a treaty with Nigeria. They have a background treaty with Nigeria that protects all their investors from their country. The state government started playing silly ball on their contract and forget that several governments in the world guarantee these things that are involved in. And then the clause of contract. If they what happened, they had to go to court. Tribunal. Eventually, they had to, not only that they came on the strength of the contract, but they now call in the treaty. And on the basis of the treaty provision, which was variety, whatever they have agreed, they were granted everything. And they have to pay for any sovereign asset. So that the ground will pay. Anything they can find, I thought, so far they didn't send any embassy. They for send one of the embassy houses. You know what I mean? Yes. So, and then even the governor said, the former governor of the UK doesn't even know what has happened. He didn't even know. And he was not talking off the, he didn't even know what he had put himself into. So I had to appear on one of the video programs to say, look, men, we're involved. We're liable. It's already in the treaty. So, look at that. The fact of the matter remains that government, any agency of government has to be responsible. Follow the law. They don't follow the law. And then keep to what you say you are going to do. They don't do it. And then you come back to the sector to take money and give you money cash, and then you will go to jail. And let me tell you something. America, United States, is different from any country. They are so concerned on the issue of corruption that they actually raised a law in the US, Foreign Thought Act. If any American company comes out to your country and start bribing America and start action with deep investment. So imagine the cases. It's only when you put the America and put the case, they will use their FBI, CIA, investigate, and they will crowd the Americans and bind them to jail. But you know, in a million years, you won't even go there to Nigeria. They'll kill you. So, there has to be fair play. I think I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think on the lighter note, there were, I think, some 3 guys who had to visit, permission to use that to God. And if you just have 1 minute to ask for what you want for your doctor. There was a Chinese, there was an American, and a Nigerian. Now, the Chinese guy came, you know, they are John, and it's interpreted, God, when will China be great? When will China economy develop? God looked at him and said, well, you're hardworking, you're honesty, you're doing that. Okay, 5 years. The American came. Say, God, what do you think? How do we get out of this to the next half, please? And so he walked in. And because of that. said, in the next 5 days, you'll pay us. And Nigeria paid. That's it. Ojo Baba o. I mean, how long you pay in Nigeria? God looked at him and he was silent for some time. He said, bro, so like I know. My Nigeria will know the test of when you talk corrupt, when you talk lie to yourself, when you talk eating. Today, what is meant for 5 years to come, when you are sitting and thinking and reading and reorganizing, restructuring. Some you say you don't want to preach revolution, sir, but I always preach revolution. But you know what this revolution is? A reorientation, a revolution of our mind, a mindset of change, mostly from leadership and followers, a mind change of productivity. And productivity takes time. The whole Lord not here. And they will do the same process, the same reason, and all this again. So if you are still here, up to this thing, I want you to put your hands together for this call as some prayers. Please put your hands together. Thank you very much. Very nice. You are really nice. Micro or macro problems of business. Yes, it's a software. I don't want to go to the starting the way forward. You mentioned school governance. You mentioned the issue of controlling by certain. You made mention of that most of the variables were not one way or the other. Thank you very much. But my concern is going forward, like we in Central Bank, how do we manage excess liquidity? Like you mentioned, that we are taking 50% of the 70% that we do that, and that we employ local market operations and treasury. Is there a better way of doing it? Going forward, how do we integrate this economy from the current position? Because this is a work for all of us, not monetary person, not fiscal person, but everybody in the economy. And I wouldn't know how you look at insecurity and inflation, because these are issues. If the economy is not secure, the food component of the CPI is over.
Yes,
Okay, okay.
thank you, my President. Inflation is attributed to many factors. Liquidity crisis, debt crisis, and other macroeconomic disturbances. Today we have learned a lot, but what I want Professor to highlight on critically how inflation is taking away our ITR with respect to liquidity crisis. Thank you. I talked how the banks are being created. But you know the funny thing? Over 4 trillion naira in circulation, only 20% of it is in the banks. is everybody. So, now how can those people reach those agents that are carrying the cash and moving around the cash? What we call that was the challenges of the transmissibility of monetary policy. So this is in the banks. The people who have the money, that the money is moving. Can you believe that in the whole West Africa, the currency of exchange, anywhere I go, I'm bringing naira to the people CFA. I don't need to carry dollar. I carry my dollar as well because I will use the great card. I want that to be. So that's why I carry dollar. And my British passport, I can start there for the video. I don't use them. I still use my naira. So, not only that, the naira 80% that is circulation, there are also fake laws inside there. And then you go to the border countries in Niger, but it is naira that they use. So how do you control the naira? They are not paying you for your food in dollars. They are not paying you with different forex sector. They are using the same naira you have. So we have serious challenge in naira. But of course, we are giving them two things that the bank account. Under the law, the government would have had to pay more interest to central bank because the law says you pay for that particular billion, you pay MPR rate, which is 7.5 plus 2%, which was 29.5.
Symmetrically.
So that means government should have been giving for about 10 billion every year to pay off that money that they got. So it was better for them to securitize it by paying 9% over 30 years and float it as a bond. Now you come to the other collateral issue about liquidity. We talk about forex liquidity. Now, the challenges about forex liquidity is that we have the dollarization of our economy. People are sitting on dollar. They share 5 today, tomorrow the money goes to the top. They pile dollar and are speculating on the price value of naira and holding their money. Speculating that naira is sliding down, so hold your dollar. You will buy more naira as time goes on. But CBN has in their current policies made a nonsense of that assumption by closely and aligning the two rates. Because it is when the rates are at variance that we have our big rate opportunity. You understand? Yes, sir. You get at this rate, you sell back at that rate, you make money. But now they are sitting on their dollar, but they can't make money because the rates are zero. And more importantly, those businesses that we are housing CPA, $2, we are importing machinery, we are importing goods, we are importing milk from here, we left CPA alone. Because it's even cheaper for you to buy from the black market than to try to buy it from the CPA. If you wait for 3 months, 4 months, and you get the others, it's lower than the black market. So they are not happy about it, so they want to pack their bags. But I go to Ghana. You understand? I don't worry about it. Go to Ghana, man. Go! And then we will wait for you to produce in Ghana, bring it to Nigeria. You understand? Okay. So in terms of that time, so what Central Bank did first of all was to mitigate debt owed to the airlines. But that one is scandal. It is a legacy debt. And you know something about debt. We have all the rating agencies rating Nigeria. Once you miss the payment, once you miss downgraded, when they are downgraded, before you get money is more difficult. And when they give you money, it's like a higher rate because they are downgraded. So they had to face this airline that they're embarrassing and sort them out. And then I now come down and said, okay, what do we do to encourage more inflow of dollars into our economy? The answer was not far-fetched. Increase the NPR. There are 2 reasons for increasing the monetary policy rate. Reason number one, to close the gap between inflation and the lending rate in Nigeria. Because as we are closing it, we are making it more attractive to the crowd to invest, so that we can make money. Number two, as we are closing it, we are telling the foreign portfolio investors, come on. We are giving you 24%. For money that they borrow 23%, 2%, they come here, they reap the difference at 20%. So for them to get that, you have to assure them that they are going to maintain parity at the exchange rate. It doesn't matter whether it's 1%, keep them there. So they know that for that 1 year, they will need their dollar. When they collect, they will still be able to transfer it back because the rate will not change. So what we are finding is that foreign portfolio investments are coming in and are providing enough liquidity, foreign liquidity, to keep both invisibles and importers and exporters to keep them cool, nice and cool. And then deny their privilege to those people who are organizing as national problem. Now, what may happen is since India wants to play some foreign game, they can say, okay, let me do some dollars. The CBS has put in like 200 million into the system. You go to the top of it. And there was a panic selling because those who are sitting on their dollar will suddenly see it. I bought my dollar at 1,600. I think that the 1,100 sell. Panic selling. That's what we're looking for. The central bank will not do that immediately in their heart. Because one other thing is happening. For 3 years, NNPC drops CBN completely and was doing push to direct to foreign finance. CBN was not seeing their dollar. Normally, CBN receives $3 billion every month from NNPC. And then they will come back and fix it for their import. They got nothing. So now, the first thing to do is let that money go to central bank. It goes to central bank, so central bank is having an accretion in reserve. Our reserve that for 33 trillion is now over 40 trillion. And when you have stronger reserve, it gives confidence. Good signal to investors. Hey man, this guy has money to pay us. More than we pay, they have money to pay. So more effort for portfolio will be coming. Because there is that thing that you have money. So on top again, if the reckless booking of the government, like this thing they are doing now, and I'm criticizing it. If we go and the member of the Presidential Governing Council or Minister of Finance Incorporated, I'm the civilian with the other ones are fighting this and the chairman of the president. I'm there, I'm still talking. You want to talk to me about what they're listening after how many had meetings. I'm saying you, I'm different from one. But they don't touch me out. But then the one that's talking, I said, I want to talk to me out. Because I've been defending the budget 2017. I think the guy think about doing so well. So this is my own. So I know you could do some kind of bombs. Yeah, I don't have this one big house. So, in the end of the day, the reckless borrowing and the consequential stress, fiscal stress, that will come from servicing the debt may have a recourse of central bank reserves at some point. So central bank will be careful. As long as that liquidity is coming from foreign portfolio investment, of course, it's not going to see it's coming from foreign direct investment. But that's not everything is so they keep on sucking their. So and now that data has come in now, to even stop the bleeding. So that data is helping out. And that data is selling in dollars already in some of them. So central bank is buying low now and stocking some dollars up there. And I said to them, maybe up to 50 billion, up to 50 billion. That's why they will change. I don't think another way is 62 billion. Yes, $2 billion is foreign reserve. I'll have 52.5 billion in this. So when the American Parliament came, some banks, and this is not very well, set up a complicated and then the second one. So I think I'm not sure if I'm asking. What else can we do? Yeah, terms of mobile and mobility. We need to be more interested. But you know, what I say, where we need to invest is to build necessary infrastructure. The infrastructure has to be relevant and then economic and capable of generating return. Let me explain. I keep saying, the minister, allow the minister to build the road that goes to the village. Because that's something. They let that road connect production centers and market centers so that they will really become. Are you with me? The economy, so when you are looking at the fruits of that growing for that growth, for that growth, you will connect the fact that the market figure in the food and the food market so that there is an economic value. Otherwise, it is a waste of money because you never really do act of things and not act of money. So we have to do more of that. I'm doing it for because over since 1970, we have not been investing in infrastructure. So our stock of infrastructure is 30% compared to South Africa, 85%. But it is not just in infrastructure. We have to be the ones that are relevant. If you want to promote food exports, you have to invest in quality infrastructure. Quality infrastructure means what infrastructure required from seed multiplication to propagation to planting of it to processing it to preparing it for export and for exporting it. And all the supply chain required, cold chain, all that infrastructure for supply and movement, logistics standards are all invested so that we can increase that. That is how you invest. And then so that the products we are bringing on is fit for purpose in the international market. The quality has to be from the beginning. See technology today comes from the people of somebody who made it. I'm not going to the same market or go to the market in Lagos, collecting it in the city, carry out data today, and we do not to sell. That is not possible. What we are doing is we are destroying the name of this country. We have to go to account from the seed, the particular seed we planted, to the chemicals we put in there, organic fertilizer, whatever that goes in there, avoiding some certain chemicals and certain substances that are banned, and we don't know whatever. And then we need to do sanitary and phytosanitary measures. They look at chemical specification, we look at non-mandatory barriers, they meet the testing requirements, residual testing, all of that. We look at HACCP compliance, or if it has a massive operating control point, and of course you must have signed up to do that agricultural practice at the beginning, and then look at all export community assessment all the way to the product that arrives in the foreign market. Nigerians are really patient. You know why we are saying patient? It's because we are actually good at traders. You know if the traders are going to the north and hire trucks to carry the things, come and sell it to the north, so most traders are very patient. So they don't understand what we mean by quality infrastructure. Because they're not interested. But I tell you this. What I say to any governor or any officer that I meet is this. The reason I went into biotechnology, especially in cassava bioethanol value chain development, is because I believe, and also biotechnology can develop curriculum in biotechnology from one side to different diploma, secondary school and primary school, all as you can have a complete ecosystem. What I said to them is this: if you teach Nigerian young people how to make money from agribusiness, just teach them how to make money. They will go away and see it for eyes. They will take the back of sickness and physically become the master. The problem is that they have not taught them how to make money out of business. And that is actually to teach them how to make money. You don't teach them how to make money by showing photographs of people carrying gold and matches and the other. Why don't you show them pictures of people having stuff in greenhouses and they're having deep irrigation and having beautiful products and they're applying them abroad? You show them something that connects with them, how technology, fintech, architect, and all that. Show them something. So Not how they can stay in the backyard of their house and have protocol show them that show them something that can excite them. And then you see that when you suffer about them.
Please put your hands together. Our president, I believe everything he has said this evening, all work well for you. I believe all the questions you asked have been answered. Am I correct? Thank you very much, sir. There is nothing that has a beginning that will not have an end. Are you getting my point? And anything that has a beginning that does not have an end, there is a trouble. So ladies and gentlemen, can we make welcome the person that's going to give us the closing remarks this evening? No other person than the rector of the institute. Can you please put your hands together as we welcome Dr. Abdullah Ibrahim.
Good evening, everybody. The president of the Institute of Professional Economics and Policy Management, members of the high team, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe we really enjoy the program of today. As we have said it all, said what has beginning is out of end. So this marks the end of today's program. Tomorrow is another program. And I implore everybody to come back to this place by 11 o'clock tomorrow. Another program. We all enjoyed Professor Ken, who is the president of this lecture today. Tomorrow will be another program. It will be better than today. This program, we hold this program twice in a year, July and December. And if you have not registered as a member of ACTEN, take this opportunity to register. Because if you are not a registered member, there is no way you can benefit from it. The institute belongs to Nigeria. When you contribute to the institute, you benefit from it. If you don't contribute, how will you benefit? There's no way. Please, I'm appealing to everybody here. So, I said tomorrow program. Tomorrow program will be very nice. After the seminar, which is the training aspect of it, we enter the ceremony. Ceremony is the induction program, whereby the new members will be inducted into the institute. Some will be inducted as professional fellowship doctorate, some will be inducted as fellow members, some will be inducted as full members, some will be inducted as associate members. So, I'm appealing to everybody. Please pass this message to those who are able to come to today's program. Try to come to tomorrow's program. So many people register for this program. Maybe because of one reason or another, you are able to attend this program today. So, I really apologize for the delay. My president has already done that. So I think I apologize for the delay. Because we are waiting for more people to come before we start the program. So, as I come, and I pray to Almighty Allah to lead back to the glorious destination. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hansi, for that. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow will be a great day. Thank you very much. As we pass. God guide us all, and returns back tomorrow. Mashallah.
Thank you so very much. I want to congratulate yourselves, everyone sitting here. Just congratulate yourself that you are among the living. I'll take this. Say, he said, the Almighty Allah will lead you through safely and bring you back again safely. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. We see you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Is it pretty today or
Came back around 9 and I was still here.
you never stop this thing? I never stop him. Look at the stream now.